Your circle will change as you accomplish your goals and level up. Everybody can't go.
All right, y'all. It's another Wednesday, and here we are for another Everybody Can't Go Convo. This week, I'm bringing to you guys a dope Black lawyer, okay? You see it across the chest. He say it with his chest, and he say it with his chest, y'all. I'm bringing to you guys today Josh Jones, Esquire. I decided to bring him this month because not only is this the month of love and all of that stuff, the month of Black love and any kind of love, whatever kind of love you got, but it's also Black History Month. And so I wanted to bring somebody to you guys who is one of the people that is in the circle, one of the people that I keep community with. And I wanted to bring to you guys somebody that essentially he is Black history. So for this month, we're going to make sure that we celebrate all of the different things there are to celebrate in February. And I'm bringing you guys the dope Black lawyer. What's good, Josh?
What's happening? All these great introductions I've been getting lately, I'm hoping that I'm going to live up to it for y'all. Happy to be on with you today.
Cool. So let's just go ahead and get started out. You know, I'm always hyping you guys up. So the first thing you already know I'm gonna ask, like, tell us about you, tell us about your brand, what you have going on, and kind of break down for people, because I know people gonna say, well, if he a lawyer, like, how is that a brand? Like, what do they have to do with anything? Break it down for the people.
Yeah, for sure. So, I'm a lawyer. I do personal injury law, like car accidents, slip and fall. So the thing that wherever you live, you probably hear those commercials on the radio, see them on TV, on the billboards. So you are well acquainted with that kind of law. But one of the things that's bigger than just the brand, because one of my core values is bigger than Josh Jones Law. And what that really means is it's my clients. We want to make sure we do the best for the clients. I want to make sure that I do the best for my team. And I want to make sure that I do the best that I can for the community as well. So um, as a Black lawyer, less than 5% of the lawyers in the whole United States are Black. So Dope Black Lawyers is a brand that is dedicated to kind of bigging up Black lawyers and helping people to connect with Black lawyers through me. So I think it's important for us to make sure that people have the opportunity to work with Black lawyers, especially dope Black lawyers who get results, because for so many years there were even less than 5% of the lawyers are Black, and those were the only lawyers you could go to, and they really did a lot for us with regards to like civil rights and helping us get to where we are now. So we're standing on the backs of the giants, so we got to make sure that we also are able to do the same thing for the next generation as well.
That's what's up. Now, you know, I started off by saying I was bringing y'all somebody who is a part of Black history. Just that number alone, that statistic. Like, we love definitions around here, but also you can't argue with numbers. Less than 5% of lawyers in the United States are Black lawyers. Like, just that stat alone for me was something that was mind blowing, and I actually didn't learn that specific stat until you presented that, and I learned about your brand, because depending on who we keep company with, who we're around, you would tend to think that there are more of us, more Black people, more African Americans in the community, and like infiltrating into different spaces and different careers, different professional paths. And I feel like most people know at least one Black lawyer, but it really doesn't cross your mind that when you're looking at the totality of people that hold that position or hold that career, that we still only have like a very small fraction of the entire marketplace across all of the different I guess you would call them subcategories of being a lawyer. what are those called? The different studies of like the different types of law that you can study. What are those called?
Like practice areas, and you're absolutely correct. So we've been actually doing kind of some research, talking with different lawyers, and what we find is that most people know one or two lawyers. You know what I'm saying? They don't necessarily know all types of lawyers, but they have one lawyer or whoever in their family or somebody that they know that they trust. And a lot of times it's that lawyer who can go back to go help them find somebody who's qualified in the area that they actually need expertise in. So um, that was 100%. Sometimes, especially if you went to HBCU or just college in general, like the world gets kind of small. So sometimes you may know different people that, oh, yeah, I know a bunch of lawyers, but for most people, we find that that's not necessarily the case, and access to justice is not available for them because of that. So people suffer for that.
And that does make a lot of sense. Just like in the news, in media, moving across social media and everything, talking about the injustices that African American people and Black people that we experience disproportionately to the rest of the population. And we don't necessarily that's not a part of the news story, is looking at how much legal representation is actually available to those of us or our family members or a loved one who may become on the not so great end of the judicial system. And that there's definitely a correlation there, but I think that's something that I can say, at least for me, I definitely just look straight at it, but literally look straight past it and never thought about such a correlation, and having access to like lawyers that look like us and that can understand the background and the cultural aspect of how some of us end up in trouble or needing a lawyer, no matter what type of practice it's in. I think a lot of times we talk about that type of connection and exposure in the healthcare space a lot. There's this big initiative to offer healthcare for us, for people that look like us, to break the stigma there. And that movement in itself kind of reminds me of what you are on a mission, and what you are starting here on a larger national scale, pretty much to get like this same conversation up to that level and beyond, with covering that gap, filling that in. And the same way that learning from you, it caused that click in my head, like having that thing click for other people that are part of making sure that we're able to like right some of the wrongs, go against some of these systemic things that are keeping us marginalized, that by having networking and connections to dope Black lawyers. Okay, shameless plug. That is one of the things that can help our communities. Not just your city, not just your hood, but like literally help us across the country. So that's what's up.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. The
oh, go
problem
ahead.
is the same everywhere. I agree with you on that regard. And just to say, that's why I wear like t-shirts. And then I mean, when it's time to go to court, of course, I'm suited and booted, just like the next lawyer. But by dressing like this, sometimes that could make it less intimidating for some people to even come and bring their legal questions. So and not to say that it's not going to cost, but a lot of times it does not cost. Like depending on income and depending on certain criteria and situations, there's free access to legal representation as well. And by coming to a lawyer like me especially, whose goal it is to really make sure that I connect people with the right lawyers, you can make sure that you're getting access to things that you should have access to. So, I mean, I've seen people who come to me too late, or whatever. It's like they lost a house, or that they could have saved, or they could have, had lower child support, or something like that. Whatever it is. So like the statute of limitation ran on a case because they waited, 5 years before they reached out about their grandma who died in a nursing home, and just like things like that. So I just want to make sure that people feel comfortable even being able to approach a lawyer. Sometimes it can be intimidating, especially when you're oftentimes on the wrong side of the criminal justice system as well.
That makes a lot of sense. one of the things that stuck out for me, sometimes when we are on these different growth journeys, and one of the things that we end up circling back to a lot with the Everybody Can't Go brand, you dropped that gem in there real quick and then kept right along with moving with it. But even the distinction between the way that you're coming to us now, and it's like, oh, hey, like, look, when I'm in court, like, I'm a professional. When I'm in court, I'm suited up just like any other lawyer, anybody else. Like, you are like a real deal. Like, lawyers are fancy. No, you are fancy when it's time to do that. But at the same time, you're very relatable. And it's like, oh yeah, no, I dress down. Like, to be able to bridge those two sides of things. And I love that like you brought that out in talking about how it can be intimidating to a lot of times, we'll talk about like, such and such dressed all up, that don't mean nothing. But I mean, it does though, when you are judging whether or not that that you want to, one, pay for somebody's services. We do subconsciously make decisions upon somebody's level of professionalism, and whether or not they are trustworthy, whether or not they are the real deal with how they present themselves. And I love that you make that conscious choice to present in a way that, like, literally the way that you dress, it helps to bridge the gap between like, oh yeah, no, like when it's business time, it's time for business. But a lot of people don't even make it to that point because it's like, that's that guy in that suit. Like, I can't talk to him. He ain't gonna believe me in the first place. And it's like, oh no, I can meet you right where you at. Like, these are the things that we need to talk about so that I can put on this suit, walk into this courtroom, and represent you properly in the way that you deserve to be represented, just the way that anybody else deserves to be represented. So I love that a lot of times, in our community, we talk about like clothing, the way we present, the way we dress, and it kind of gets like a negative rap, whether you choosing one side or another. And I've always been a fan of like, be able to do both so that you can serve as that bridge for some people who may feel that intimidation because of the way someone is dressed or because of the way someone presents themselves all the time. I just, side note about me personally, like I have friends that it's like, okay, well, where are we going? And what, like, who are we going with? Like, if we're going out to happy hour with your colleagues, I'm going to show up a certain way because that is a reflection of part of your career. When it's like, oh, we going out canvassing, or it's something that is on the tip of connecting with clients and, being personable and being able to like really get down to that nitty gritty. It's like, let's be real. Like, no, we don't have to be buttoned all the way up to here so that we can go, break bread, have a meal, and find out, how I can help you or how I can be of service to you.
And same thing when talking with people, right? So like, why we got to use our $5 words in everyday conversation? Just say exactly what you're trying to say, because 9 times out of 10, somebody might come back and say, I don't know what you're talking about, and then you got to break it down anyway. So it's just like, when it's time to beat somebody's head in a case, or it's time to advocate for a client, yeah, we're gonna do all of that. But for everyday conversation, most of my clients are Black. I be in the hood. I be at the Black church. I'm in a frat, Black frat, Q Psi Phi. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, just be regular. People change up. Just be yourself, and then you be like, dang, I don't know that dude. I know that dude, but I don't know that dude right there. He's talking a little different. I guess that's when you kind of talk about code switching or whatever a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that code switch, that's definitely a part of it for sure. I'm over here looking at my show notes to make sure that, the couple of things that I'm like, oh, I need you to bring this to the people that we're talking about it. And you actually just transitioned us naturally into part of what I wanted to go over with you in being a Black lawyer, talking about some of the challenges that you've had over the course of your career, and some of the things that you like, what, I'm about to tackle that, and you've risen to the occasion. What are some of those, if you want to share a story or two, or, just cover it generally, like talk about that a bit.
So, I mean, it gets interesting because, like, even going back to kind of what we've been talking about, like, even when you are suited and booted and you step into the arena, a lot of people are going to assume that you're not the lawyer anyway. So when you show up, you really got to show out because they're going to be thinking you're a defendant. They're going to be thinking you're a court reporter. You know what I'm saying? Or anybody that could be in the courtroom besides a lawyer, maybe even a paralegal, but they're just going to assume that you're not the lawyer, right? So um, one time I was at an event and this lawyer walked up to me. Everybody's in the event dressed super nice, including myself, pinstripe suit, fancy shoes, and everybody that's working at the event in the hotel has on all black. Nobody has on a suit. So I'm waiting in line to talk to the people that work there because there weren't enough seats. So the guy walked up to me and said, "Hey, I need another chair at my table." And I said, "Oh, I don't work here." He stepped towards me and said, "Well, move." And I said, "Hold up, who are you talking to?" So I can't tell you
Mm-hmm.
everything that I said to him because the statute of limitation has not run yet. But you know what I'm saying? I had to let him know he was trying to be like I guess like an alpha male in a room full of attorneys or whatever. And I'm like, and he might have thought that I worked for somebody that he was buddies with because it's a real country club kind of thing at these types of events where we're at. So he's probably like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to this guy's boss and let him know that he treated me like that, right? So I don't work for nobody, so I'm gonna walk in there and I'm gonna act like how I want to act and demand the respect that I deserve. So now every time I see this same lawyer, even when I walked into his law firm, he puts his head down. He can't even look me in the eye, because of that. But that's half of the challenge. You're dealing with stuff like that. You already are coming from that side, but building up a business. I never worked in a law firm before except for my own. So just building up your own business from scratch. I never I never even really interned like that in a law firm. So like creating my own systems, creating my own way, teaching myself little stuff. Like I might have had opportunities to ask people questions, like sort of like mentorship a little bit, but I was just taking a piece from here and a piece from there, and I built my own systems. So I mean, just that in itself, like I think a lot of times when I see people, they've come from firms, so they've had like training, and when they leave with template documents, they leave with cases, like they've been working on these cases. So like, you've got a rapport with clients, so you can say, well, I'm going on my own. You can keep working with me, or you can stay here with the firm, and obviously, if you really work with those clients, a lot of them are going to want to still stay working with you. Like I don't really know the name partner like that, so I don't want to work with him. I want to keep working with you. So I mean, they're leaving with that. Obviously, uh, there's statistics that talk about how white people in general, but especially white men who dominate the legal industry, are able to get loans that other people can't get. So they start. I remember I was talking with this dude. We're having lunch. He's like, "Yeah, I just started my firm. I got this little line of credit for 100,000." I'm like, man, he just started his firm 3 months ago. He was able to get $100,000 line of credit. So it's just like figuring out how to get it out the mud a little bit. I forget what it was called, but Damon John from Fubu, he had a book. What was that book called? It was called The Power of Broke, and basically, I didn't read the whole book, but from what I could gather, he was kind of talking to people who never had to use any type of ingenuity and creativity, like how to get things done when you have adversity. So, because some people don't have never had adversity, so but that's kind of like the plus, I guess, to not having resources is you learn how to kind of make a dollar out of 15 cents. You know what I'm saying? So when they have money, I have creativity, so we figure it out. So I appreciate my journey more than I think I would if I had only a small $100,000 line of credit. Now that I think about it, that sounds like what one of our former presidents said when he started his company. He had a small loan for $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm glad to be able to do it my way. So I still feel like I made it to a place where they are at, and I can say that I did it not self-made because nobody I don't think is self-made, but I did it, without having those hand ups.
That makes sense. And I think just even that, like that you did have to like get it out the mud with like building your own brand and creating your own law firm, that creative space that you were allowed because you did it for yourself. That I'm sure it speaks to your journey in like how you began to level up as a lawyer in gaining clients, not being told like, oh, well, hey, yeah, no, you can't do that because you the boss of you. So you get to choose everything that it is that you do. You get to choose your own cases, your own clients, everything, and not necessarily have to like do that work your way up thing where it's kind of like you get like all the scut work, all the like the cases and things that don't nobody want and stuff like that. I've spoken with lawyers in the past who kind of just talk about like coming into a law firm, having to like navigate that culture shock. There's a pecking order, and you kind of have to like climb your way up. And
Sure.
like I've always kind of considered, no, entrepreneurship isn't for everybody. But I'm like, you could spend like 15 years trying to work your way up so that you can make partner, or you could just go either way. When you years 1 through 5, you on late struggle mode anyway. So if you just built your own,
Yeah.
couldn't you just you already the partner? Like,
Yeah. But everybody's not cut out for it though, so it's different. So like when you work at those firms, you might be working 80 hours a week or whatever, and you got to deal with the attitudes or whatever is going on with the partners and whatever expectations they have for you. But you're also bringing home usually 6 figure checks. You know what I'm saying? Where you're able to pay those student loans down. So like everybody's not built like that where they can just go out there and figure out where they're going to get a dollar from. So I mean, a lot of people really need to not be an entrepreneur. I think that too. So I mean, I definitely agree with you. Like either way, it's a struggle. It's a completely different struggle though. Like some of those people
mhm,
end up being able to get into it on their own because what they learn is I could do, let's say, a third of what I'm doing now and make the same money, right? So even if they don't necessarily have that real hustle to want to be or that vision or whatever you want to call it to to really kill it, like why am I working so hard, putting up with all of these people's crap when I could take every dollar that you make for a company, you probably only get 25 to 35 cents anyway. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
They're making all the money, so it's like I could just make the same 25 to 30 cents. You know what I'm saying? Or I could do a third of the work instead of doing all this work and make the same money. So it doesn't make sense for me to hustle this hard. So I don't know. Different strokes for different folks. I never had a job that I didn't get fired from until this one, and hopefully that changes soon too. When I start bringing on more attorneys.
mhm. Okay, okay. Care to expound on never got fired from a job before this one?
No. I've only ever gotten fired from jobs. Maybe I said it
Oh,
wrong. This is the first job I ever
oh,
had where I didn't get fired.
oh wow. Okay. That's dope. Well, I mean, would you say this is the one that you most successful at? Because that's what it seems like with what I've
I would
learned
have to
about
say
you.
that. I would have to say that. But part of it is like I've always just had like an entrepreneurial spirit. So like I go to a business and I'm looking at, well, why are we doing it like this when it's a more efficient way or whatever. So when you first start out, they don't want to hear your ideas. They just want you to do what they want you to do. So it's like, all right, well, I ain't gonna make it too long here, kind of thing. Uh, by the grace of God, my dad was an entrepreneur. He started a lawn service when I was a kid, and I had an opportunity to kind of work through that with him.
Hmm.
And I saw from like when we first started to like when I was like 5, and then when I was like a teenager, he had a crew. He didn't actually go out and physically cut grass, and that's kind of the object of any business. If you're better suited working on your business than in your business. In your business, so like if you're out there cutting grass, you can't develop clients. Uh, you can't go out there and do marketing. You can't do the things that are going to really move the needle for your business. Same thing for a law firm. Same thing for any business. A lot of these hospitals are run by physicians, but they're not doing surgeries. The people who are the administrators, it wouldn't make sense for them to do that at that level.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And it makes sense. Where the money reside, where the money
Yeah.
reside. Okay.
I know, right?
So like, oh, go ahead.
And that dude need a dope black lawyer too. You saw that it was some white dudes came out. He didn't have any type of trademark or anything on that. Some white dudes came out and made a bunch of money off of that merchandise and social media, all types of
Oh
stuff. So yeah, I
wow.
mean, it's just little things like that. When you have a dope idea, you got to protect it. So I'm just gonna throw that nugget out there. I know a lot of people know that, but the way you protect it is through like a trademark. So don't go out here and give away your intellectual property without without doing what you got to do to make sure that it's yours.
Mm-hmm. And you one of the people that spoke up when we were in the room, and it's like, okay, so like, what is your book? What is your brand? And it's like, yeah, nah, get the paperwork, get that stuff done. And that's something that we don't necessarily talk about it often enough. Um, when you brought up the that happening with that guy, I had read up on homegirl with the it's a chicken salad, like protecting her that clip of her voice. She was approached by Weight Watchers, I believe it was,
Okay.
and they wanted to like buy it
Oh,
from
I remember
her
that. I remember that.
like
Yep.
yeah. And they tried to like lowball her, and she's like, no. And people were like, oh, like you wouldn't take, I think it was a sum like $75,000 or something like that. And don't quote me on that, y'all. Google it. Like however much she turned down on that initial offer. It was equivalent to, an okay yearly salary that a lot of people make, all as a lump sum. But then we always see the big number and don't account for taxes. So she wasn't about to go cash out the 75K. But
Correct.
when
Correct.
she did that denial and got with the lawyer so that she could have like counsel to let her know, like, hey, you don't have to just take that first offer. You can negotiate for dot dot dot. Once she got legal involved, I think they ended up, last I saw, it was like $2 million or something that was on the table for
Mm-hmm.
that sound clip. And it was just that one decision that she made, that it's like, if you all are coming to me to ask me, can you buy this from me? There's a value on this. I may perceive it as a certain value, but let me get the professionals involved. Let me go ahead and let me contact somebody that this is their expertise, so that I can see what is the actual value of something that I can just guesstimate. Because I was just online having fun.
Yeah.
Somebody was recording me eating my salad and I was chilling. But nowadays, things that we joking around about, we kicking it with our people, it can take off and actually be of a greater value than what we thought, and beyond just the shares, the likes, the views, the clicks, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, and that's true for sure. Because again, it comes down to people just like assuming that attorneys are expensive, and part of that probably is because people be walking around with $1,000 suits on, driving fancy cars, so people just assume that it's going to be expensive to hire an attorney. But like, if it wouldn't have been worth that attorney's time, like the attorney's just going to be like, if they offered you 75,000, you need to take it, right? Even if you had to spend $300 or $400 to have a consultation, right? But a lot of attorneys will have that conversation with you for free, and that's kind of what we're out here for. So when people contact us, the lawyers that we work with agree that they'll at least have a 15-minute conversation with somebody for free, to be able to kind of let them know if they're on the right track. Like, this is where we could help you, we could add value there or not. Because it wouldn't make sense if it was really worth 75,000, like, and then you hire an attorney and spend money, and then you get that same deal, you're going to be mad, like you're going to be talking bad about them. So nobody really wants that. But 100%, it's better to check. Another story, one of my friends does immigration law. So a lot of people um, come from other countries and they want to get their paperwork together, and they go to these places in South Florida. The people say that they're lawyers, and they may be lawyers back in the country where they used to live, but here they're like document fillers. They can only fill out documents. And the lady, my friend, she's an immigration lawyer, said that the person filled out the documents, and then something happened where in court the documents were rejected, and when she paid this lady $5,000, she told the person, now it's a big mess. If you would have came to me from the beginning, I only charged 3,000. So
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? People just without even having a reason to believe the price is going to be high, just assume it's high. So it's like get quoted first and then try to figure it out. But people be out here on Google, people sending me crazy documents, like they be Googling forms and they live in Michigan and the documents are talking about a Kansas contract and they don't they didn't really read it. They just kind of copied it and pasted it, like put their name and other person and be having terms that don't apply to them. So I mean, over time, the goal is to make legal services more affordable for everybody in general, but also to make sure that people feel comfortable and confident and know that they should speak with a lawyer and know who to speak to.
That's dope. That's dope. And I'm glad that that information came from your mouth, because I mean, I could say stuff till I'm blue in the face, but I'm bringing you guys on that work in these different industries, and that this is your actual profession. Like, I went to school for other stuff. I research a lot of stuff. So I mean, yeah, I could be like, oh, well, I heard, but that's part of the problem. We always talking about what we heard. And so I love that you dropped that nugget in there, that 15-minute consultation, just so that you can find out whether or not you should spend money, that there are lawyers that are out here willing to do that. And also it's completely free. I mean, I can only imagine how much money in the United States, because this country is just so happy about everything, but really how much money has been left on the table, not just with frivolous lawsuits that could be won, but actual lawsuits that have to do with our ill treatment, that have to do with policies and procedures being broken, that have to do with gross negligence, that have to do with work environments that violate a whole slew of federal and state EEOC laws and a bunch of different stuff. And a lot of times we're not willing to, it's like, oh, well, I don't want to wait for that case. That's going to take like 2 or 3 years. I'm going to have to pay the lawyer. I can't pay a lawyer so that I can take this thing to court. You guys can start for free. A lawyer will let you know whether or not, if you think that you have been wronged, or if you think, even if you remotely have a question that, is this a case? Somebody will give you 15 minutes of their time, for the free ball. They will give you 15 minutes of their time and professional expertise so that you can even ask the question to find out, is this something you should be pursuing legally? And if, like, for example, if somebody did...
Go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead.
I was going to say the catch, though, is you might not know who that will give you 15 minutes. Everybody won't give you 15 minutes, but I know I leverage my relationships, and there are a lot of people that do it, but a lot of people don't also. Some people are going to try to charge 150, 300, whatever. But like, I leverage the relationships. Like, look, I have a large network, and we're going to be sending you leads, of clients, potential clients. And one of the conditions that we want to make sure is available for them is that for at least 15 minutes that they have your undivided attention, so that you can listen to what they have going on. So that's the thing. Like, if you call around, you might not get that. They might not listen to you, but like, we want to make sure that you do have access to those people that'll do it for sure. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no worries. I'm glad that you jumped in on that right there. Because I'm like, oh yeah, you can find somebody in your area, bump who in your area, pipeline, another shameless plug right there. Contact a dope Black lawyer and use that network. We already, it's a safe space, and you know what you're getting. So like, for example, if you guys did like a consultation, say someone was like wrongly fired, or if there was some type of like a negligence on the job or something like that, where a person was injured and couldn't work anymore. So now they're worried about, like, dang, I already was living check to check. I don't have money for a consultation or for a lawyer. If they were to reach out to you and you took that 15 minutes and it's like, oh, no question, like, you have a case under multiple broken regulations or whatever, What would be some next steps that you guys would do in speaking within your network of dope black lawyers specifically? What would be some things that folks could expect as like some next steps if they're like, I mean, okay, I got a case, but I ain't got no money. So like, Josh, what do I do?
So, that's a great question. So, um, every state has what's called a contingency fee agreement, which allows for attorneys to accept cases that they normally would not be able to take because people don't have money. So, basically, to give people access to lawyers in certain practice areas like car accidents, slip and falls, a lot of those employment type cases people handle like that you're talking about, workers' comp, if you get hurt at work. So, there's different types of cases where because they know that these companies and these insurance companies will get away with, committing these offenses against people because the people don't have the money to bring the lawsuit. The states have said that lawyers can have what's called a contingency fee agreement, which basically means if the lawyer does not win the case, the lawyer doesn't get anything. But if the lawyer does win the case, the lawyer gets a percentage of the total settlement or verdict of if you go to trial. So $100,000, most states is somewhere like around 33 and a third percent of what you get goes to the lawyer if you settle a case before going to trial. And it can be negotiated up or down depending on. Sometimes there's certain cases where the lawyer might say, I know that we can get you results, but I know it's going to take more than the average amount of effort. So for that reason, we need to get a little bit more. Or you might be able to negotiate for the lawyer to take a little bit less. So it just depends on the case. But the point is, you don't have to pay up front. You only pay once the case is resolved for you in a way where you get money. Also, for those types of cases, it's pretty customary for lawyers to not charge for consultations anyway. But there's certain practice areas where you cannot do a contingency fee. So like a divorce or a paternity or a criminal case or something like that, immigration, you can't do it on a contingency. So you have to pay. But I never quote anybody's prices, but I kind of have an idea, like based on budget, who to send people to. So, you know, sometimes people are. I mean, sometimes the more expensive people are not the best people, but a lot of times they may be the more experienced people who have the higher rates. So you may not get the most experience, but we're going to match you with somebody, even if it's their first case. And if it's their first case, we're going to make sure that they're being mentored by somebody else. So the more experienced lawyer might not be able to personally handle the case, but they're going to be able to, that new lawyer is going to be able to call and say, hey, I got this situation that just happened. I don't know what to do. And they're going to still be on their level, giving you what you need at your level as well, financially. So the goal is for nobody to get left behind just because they can't pay what would be considered like a market rate.
Okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. So you definitely making this something that's accessible for everybody. And you guys know that I always encourage you like no matter what it is, sometimes you do have to find that extra those extra funds. You do have to put some money in up front if in the long run it will be more advantageous for you. We talked about that last week on our Valentine's Day episode. That you need to, sometimes you got to put that money up front so that you can save yourself on the back end. And I would encourage you all to do the same thing. If heaven forbid, if anything does ever arise where it crosses your mind to contact a lawyer, go ahead and reach out. Get that consult, even if it's something that for the examples that he gave where you would have to pay for a consult, whether you're talking about going to divorce court or child support court, any of those things. By going ahead and getting that few $100s up front so that you can get that counsel, find out whether or not you should just be walking into the courtroom alone or, just signing some papers or something like that. Making a way or finding a way to get that couple $100s up front so that you can spend time with a professional. It could potentially save you thousands of dollars on the back end. And I'm not sure with the with the payment lengths. I'm thinking that it could not only save money on the back end of a case, but over time as well. If somebody is making payouts as a part of a divorce settlement or child support, I'm assuming that it could end up potentially saving you thousands over time.
Well, the payments for child support is his own thing. So like the judge would um, award child support of a certain amount, and it would be owed monthly. A lot of courts now are doing direct deposit or automatically deducting it from the paycheck and giving it to the parent who would be receiving the child support. So that's his own thing. So and that's based on your income. So the judge is going to look at all of the income. They're going to look at all of the expenses for the child, and they're going to determine however the formula is. There's a formula, and it's going to spit out a number. This parent owes $300 or $3,000 a month, and a lot of the courts now are just saying that that's going to be sent straight to the other parent through the direct deposit. But but yeah, I do think so. I do think what you're saying is true with regard to like the fees. Like the fees are the fees. You're gonna have to pay them. There's ways you could be creative. A lot of bankruptcy lawyers will do like they'll hold your money until you can pay the whole fee. And the reason for that, without getting too technical, is because you have to pay them in full before they start the service, or otherwise they can't get paid because it will their what you owe them will become a part of the bankruptcy. So they'll just hold your money like almost like a bank for you until you have enough for them to actually file the papers. Um, I don't know how good your credit has to be, but they do have these services where you can kind of apply for like credit. There's like a soft credit hit, and they kind of are able to do kind of like how like you get where you buy something online, like and it says pay in 6 months or pay later or whatever that thing is, like that kind of thing. It's all types of ways, and you might as well try to negotiate, see what the lawyer will accept from you. Sometimes they'll accept installments, but I mean, a lot of times these legal services are just as important as medical services. Like depending on what it is, it could be that detrimental to your family, your legacy, or your freedom and things like that. And kind of on point, but I say it jokingly but seriously, like to your point of like stacking the head, like if you sell dope, I'm only talking to you right now. If you sell dope, please have some money to the side. See if your lawyer will allow for you to give them 10% every week or whatever. But like, it does not make sense for you to have commit a financial crime and then show up and say that you don't have money to pay for a lawyer. That's when nobody not gonna feel sorry for you. But so like, make sure that really any business, but I just say that jokingly because pretty much if you sell dope, you should expect that at some point you're either gonna go to get arrested or you're gonna get killed. So you need to be able to pay for your lawyer or your funeral, right? So make sure that you are taking those precautions because it's kind of like a cost of doing business. Like it's a great chance that I'm going to need a lawyer. So why not pay? Why not see if I can have a lawyer that I could prepay? Hey, if I give you $50,000 today, will you represent me for anything that happens in the future? It may end up working out better for you to negotiate it that way. I don't know, but I always tell people that.
And I get exactly why you said it, that you say it jokingly, but it's twofold because when you said it, I'm like, streetwise, yeah, that make a lot of sense. But I also, as you pointed out, thought about that in a business sense as well. And that's a way that I do a lot of my own stuff, like looking up all this paperwork online. How you brought up earlier, it's just a bunch of stuff. You'll have stuff for the wrong state, things that are outdated. You thinking that you done filed the mess out of something. You like, yeah, I just saved myself $1,000, and it's like, okay, well, when your business does start generating revenue after you done quit your 9 to 5, and somebody come back and oh, well, lo and behold, you didn't save yourself $1,000. You done cost yourself, however many thousands in profit or revenue because you didn't have things set up properly by the right person in the first place, and you just didn't cover your own tail. So I mean, hey, if it is any dealers listening,
Yeah.
shout out to you, bro, sis, whomever you are. Take the advice, but for the rest of us, still take the advice and make sure that you have that savings to the side, and or you're pre-planning for the proper services, not just in law, but in other spaces and veins within your business. And I mean, even if you ain't a business owner, he brought up something else. Like, stop doing a GoFundMe for your funeral. Like, We be pretending like we not gonna die. All of us are going to pass away at some time or another. Now whether that's tonight or whether it's 70 years from now, only God knows. However, there isn't any reason why, if look, if you got money to turn up somewhere, anywhere, if you got turn up money, you have money that can be set aside to either pay for a policy or put into a savings account so that your family not out here starting to GoFundMe, selling fish dinners and all this other stuff. Or, if you don't want to get cremated, they like, well, that's all we can afford. So this is what we're going to have to do. It don't matter what vein it's in. There are some financial decisions that you can make up front.
Yeah. Yeah. And you win. Like my grandma died 2 years ago and she had prepaid for her burial plot. She only paid like $900 like 30 years ago. And they were like,
Wow.
You can't even buy these spots. We're out of spots. So if you want to buy a spot, you got to buy it from somebody like who pre-bought one, and they're selling them for like 10,000. So I mean, she bought 2 spots. Nobody don't want the other spot. So we think about it like we could we could 10x that investment she made. Because
Hey, look.
so like it's just like obviously if you spend the money today, it's going to cost less than if you die 30 or 40 years from now. So it makes sense to be thinking about all these types of things now. If you can get things paid for today's dollars, you're saving money in tomorrow's time.
Mm-hmm. And not just saving it for yourself, but saving it for your children, your grandchildren. I'm planning on being here at least for my great grands. So saving that money for future generations. And that also goes into that legacy building that we're talking about generation after generation. I mean, even having the option, y'all said, don't nobody want that second plot. Like, look, low key, I've actually considered, like, you know what? Let me go ahead and get everything together. But I done already decided. And you know what? I'm gonna have to make sure that you get this drafted up for me in writing in my will, because some folks don't wanna respect my spoken wishes. And how many times does that happen in our families? I decided that I was like, you know what? Y'all rent a casket, have me a funeral, and then when we finish, I want y'all to take me to that crematorium, get my ashes and mix me with iridescent glitter. It got to be iridescent. Y'all can sprinkle a little bit of pink glitter in there, but I want this nice, fine iridescent glitter. Mix it with my ashes. Put some in an urn, keep some, make a necklace if that's what you want to do. But the rest of me, it needs to be sprinkled in the Serengeti with the animals. And it got to be the Serengeti, not the Savannah. And I don't want to go to the Sahara. But I mean, as outlandish as that is, like, if it's not in writing, and if I don't have, like, I mean, what if I wrote that down on a Post-it note and I signed it? I mean, would that hold up in court?
So it depends. In Florida, no. But I think in Michigan, yes. Because Aretha Franklin had like 3 or 4 different wills, and I think all or most of them were handwritten. So in some states, they don't recognize handwritten wills. But in Michigan, they did. It was like under her couch. They found one under the bed, in a safe. Like she just had all these little handwritten notes. So, I mean, depending on where you are, that could hold up. But your best bet, without going into too many details, is to set up a trust. And that way, everything's in your trust. And, especially if you're the type of person that really likes control. So, like, you can have things in your trust so that even when you're not here, people have to still do what you say. So, like, if you want to get the money in my trust, you have to, we'll give you 100,000 when you either graduate college or trade school, and then we'll give you another 100,000 when you turn 30, or however you want to do it. Like whatever conditions you want to put on it, you can set those conditions now while you're alive, but they'll still be bound by them after you are no longer here. So, I mean, that's the way to go if you really are trying to make sure that what you want happens. But either way, it's important that people know so that they're not left guessing, because that's the worst thing that can happen. People are out here grieving, and one person say, I don't want you to burn my nana. And then the other person saying, no, she told me she want to be burned. Like, well, which one is it? She ain't put it in writing. So now we out here fighting. You know what I'm saying? So
yep.
Say to people that grief and trauma.
Yep. I'm a big fan of that. Tell people that all the time, even though we don't want to have that talk. These are talks that we do need to start having with our families and getting things set up in the right way. And one thing that I usually use to try to light a little bit of fire up under folks is, do you want them to pull the plug or not? Because if everybody's sitting up there arguing and you like, y'all better not wake me up and don't nothing work, you can't open your mouth to say it in such a situation. And also, you got to make sure if you don't want to live the rest of your life like that, you got to tell the person that they really is going to be like, y'all got to have paperwork signed so that they not just keeping you here miserable against your wishes. For what if they keep you plugged up for 30 years and you been knew that you was like, y'all wasting all of the freaking money that I done worked hard to build for y'all. So how I said, put that stuff in the trust, make sure folks ain't wasting that money, and do what you need to do just in case. I'm like, shoot, I tell people, and I've actually asked my family members and stuff like, would you pull the plug or you'll leave me plugged in? And I mean, my mom asked me the same question when I started to research into these things and we started to talk about it, and she like gave me very specific like the circumstances, and I'm like, you know what? Now that we talking about it, I thought I was a real G out here. Whatever you say, I'm gonna do whatever you want. But then I really started thinking about it, and I'm like, ooh, do I need to be the person on that sheet? Because you can say what you want, but if I got the final call, I know what you said, but now I'm in my feelings, and I'm like, I'm a real G out here. In my emotions and my grief, I can't do it. Then what?
Yep.
So we got to get this paperwork together, y'all.
Yep.
All right. Let me make sure in my notes that I done got everything that I wanted you to make sure you talk to the people about from your career. Yo, oh, I know the other thing that I wanted to chat with you on briefly before we get out of here was with your journey as a lawyer. And I'm finding out live with the people that you never went for a firm. You've done all of this the entire time yourself. How has like your decision in your career, how has that influenced or impacted like your social circle and the people that you hung around? I mean, everybody has, and everybody can't go story. Now I'm really interested to find out, like, how was that for you? Because it seems like you were very focused, ambitious, driven, and like you saw the vision like way ahead of time, and that caused you to make certain decisions in your career.
Yeah. So I will say this. So my mom is a lawyer. When I was in elementary school, she went to law school and became a lawyer. But she's like a real boring kind of lawyer. Like I would go to her job and I had no interest in doing what she was doing. She was, uh, doing important work, but it just wasn't anything that I was interested in. And I'm also kind of like a rebellious type of person. So like because she was a lawyer, I didn't want to. People always were like, "Oh, you should be a lawyer," because I would always be advocating for people. Like one year we didn't have Black History activities at my high school, so I organized a walkout. We all walked out of class, and then I ended up in the principal's office, and I'm negotiating with her for how we want to see happen for like what we're gonna get for Black History activities, right? So we're talking about Black History Month. So I was like, "Look, you only got 10 minutes." I was like, all the news channels, I got a press release, all the news channels will be here in 10 minutes. So you only got 10 minutes to negotiate. And otherwise, we're going to be talking to the news, right? And I didn't really have a press release or anything. I'm just bluffing. But she was like, whatever y'all want to do for the whole rest of the year, we didn't mean to forget about Black History Month this year. But because we did, we'll let y'all do whatever y'all want for the whole rest of the year. Just plan it out and make it happen, right? I went to college, same thing. Like we had situations, and I'm reading like the code of conduct. Like, well, nah, the dorm director can't do that to you. It says right here, like, oh, you should be a lawyer. You should be a lawyer. I don't want to be a lawyer, but eventually, I realized that it's a gift to be able to advocate for people in that way. And my everybody can go story, I would say. So I did think it was important to say that, but like to say the next part about my everybody can go story. Like my friends from college are like my A1 friends. Like we still are super cool, but when it comes to the entrepreneurial space, they're not entrepreneurial. Like all of them have really good jobs, whether it's corporate, whether it's working for universities, whether one of them actually works with Toby, so he goes on the road with Toby, Nwegwe, uh, and all types of stuff. They just do all types of like dope things, right? But they can't relate to like the whole my real entrepreneurial side. So like, I guess in a way everybody can't go, but like the whole point is like I look at us like the Wu-Tang Clan, like it's like 10 of us. So with all of our powers combined, like that's when we're at our best, just like Wu-Tang, right? So um, in the entrepreneurial way, they can't go. Um, so, but there's no love lost. Like we still kick it, we still hang, and when it comes to that, that's how I got to know y'all in the mastermind, right? Because I imagine there's probably other people who share similar situations where the people who you kicking it with are still super dope, but they don't necessarily understand this part of your journey, and that would be kind of one. I Two of my siblings can't go. I got them blocked on the cell phone, but you just got to be able to draw those lines when it makes sense to.
All right, all right. And by draw those lines, we're gonna bring up that word hashtag boundaries again.
There you
Because
go.
everybody can't go, as he said, it doesn't mean that you gotta drop everybody, you gotta cut everybody off. It does mean that boundaries are gonna have to be set, conversations need to be had. And then also I like how you brought up that like all of y'all super close and stuff, but there's like one aspect where you not the person at the table that's like, y'all, let me tell y'all about this entrepreneur stuff. And it's like, bro, like, we great for you, but like, we're not trying to talk about that like every time. There are different layers and facets to our friendships, our social circles, our relationship dynamics. And sometimes you have to find that community and or an outlet. Another place where you may need to not only decrease your circle or one of your circles, but also you may need to be brave and step out into a new circle and take on new people as you are leveling up, as you are moving through your different the different phases of your growth journey, so that you can be in community with like-minded individuals. And that can also be a way for you to curb some of that, and I'm not saying that this is Josh's case, but for you all watching, when you are bringing some of the things that you are super interested in, but your circle or your group is not. Sometimes you need to compartmentalize that one piece, because everything over here is good. Everything over here is great. There's one or two pieces that you may need to compartmentalize and make sure that you reach out and find a community where you are able to bounce those ideas off other people, where you're able to like express things and share things and actually receive feedback that isn't like okay, well that's great, but or eventually people get tired of hearing you talking about the same thing that their answer is always, oh, okay, like you the expert. If you are the expert in the room, you do need to move, because eventually you're going to be speaking on deaf ears, because you're always talking from a higher level of where you're moving up to, where you're going, the things that are happening at the level that you're at. And that's not always advantageous for you when you don't have somebody who is in a mentorship role or other peers who are at that level with you, so that you can make sure that you are being cultivated, cared for. That's the place where you're going to get your cup filled, and so that you're able to still navigate both of those communities, so that you're able to be there in that capacity, because you're being filled in one space and you're also able to pour and continue to pour in another space. So I appreciate you sharing that with me and all of us watching. So give us your socials. Let us know your handles, your tags. Where can people find you? If people need to reach out for services, or if they just want to follow your journey, where can we find you?
Yeah, so I'm at Dope Black Lawyer on Instagram, Twitter, or X, or whatever you like to call it, Threads, and YouTube. So you can find me at
Okay,
Dope
cool.
Black Lawyer.
And YouTube, I believe it's a podcast on there. I believe it's a podcast.
Yeah, so we do a weekly live show. It's called Beats, Rhymes, and Crimes, where we break down like the legal events that are impacting Black culture, hip hop culture, stuff like that, and giving people opportunity to hear about the stories that they already care about and actually get a legal breakdown. And one of my friends, actually part of the group I was just talking about, is dope because it gives us a chance to connect. But he comes on most weeks, and he's in the entertainment, so we just kind of like kick it for about an hour, and it's a good time. So that's on Thursdays at 3.
All right.
Thursdays
and I did that. Huh?
It's at 2, not 3. We switched up to 2 Eastern.
Okay, at 2 EST on Thursdays, y'all. For the past couple weeks, I've been tuning in. If I'm not watching the replay, I've been catching them live, and it's really an engaging show. And if you're not like into law or anything like that, it's definitely done in an engaging way. Like you said, talking about stuff that like I know you scroll past it anyway. Go ahead and get a little bit of knowledge sprinkled on that joint. And it'll also give you some extra stuff and other points and ways to think about some of the same things that that we have coming across our feeds as we're scrolling anyway. So make sure you check him out at Dope Black Lawyer. Josh, thank you so much for coming on with us today. I really appreciate you taking out the time with me, with the listeners, and we will have you back again. You guys make sure that you follow us on the socials at Everybody Can't Go, the number 2, and check out what we have for you on www.everybodycan'tgo, the number 2.com, and go ahead, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, go ahead, make sure you follow us on the socials and engage with us there. Thanks. We'll catch you guys next Wednesday.
Appreciate you.